When did Grandpa Morris come to live with us in Amherst? You remember? Or why did he come to live with us?
Well, he didn't have any place else to go. But I don't know where it was. I couldn't tell you.
Oh, while I'm thinking of it, we stopped at the cemetery, and on that tombstone was Minnie, Alice M. That's your mom,
Alice.
and Grandpa.
No, that's my grandmother, Alice.
Your grandmother was named Alice too? Your mother was what? What's your mother's?
Alice.
Maud.
Maud.
What was your grandma's name?
It must have been Alice too, because if you went to Elmwood Cemetery and Aunt Minnie
Yeah.
and Grandpa and Alice, Alice is my grandmother, Grandpa's first wife. I'm pretty sure that's her name too.
Well, then that would be your mother.
No,
Didn't
it wouldn't
you
be
say-
my mother. It'd be my grandmother. My mother's in Ridgehill.
All right. Grandpa Morris' first wife was Alice M., and Minnie was his daughter,
Right, her daughter.
her daughter. All right. Grandpa's second wife was that Mrs. Stewart, you said?
Yeah, but I didn't know her. As far as knowing anyone, I didn't know her.
And what's Jim's mother's name?
I don't know. I don't know what that is. I forget. That's his third wife.
Yeah, it was his third wife, but you don't remember what her
I
name
don't
is.
know.
She's the one that used to beat up Grandpa?
Yeah,
All right, we'll find out that woman's name.
I don't know what her name was. I couldn't tell you.
All right. Grandpa came to live with us. He lived in Penfield Junction when we used to go down there.
Yeah,
Okay, and then he came to live with us.
yeah.
All right. Did he ever say anything about his parents that you can remember?
Well, the only thing that he said,
Wait. All right, start.
the only thing that he said that these parents, they worked for Captain Lake. His mother was kept house, and he was the groomer for Captain Lake. He groomed the horses and took care of the garden and that stuff. He was an old captain of the ocean or the lakes or something, I don't know. He used to say Captain Lake.
Now, which one had one leg? Wasn't
Oh, God, I don't know, that was me.
No, one of them had a leg missing or something. I forget.
I don't know,
Okay.
I never heard that.
Our Grandpa came over and paid a fare for a lot of his family to
Yeah.
come over
Yeah,
and settled in Pennsylvania.
yeah. He said something about they landed in Philadelphia on a certain day, it was raining or foggy or something. He brought all the Woodingses over. He came over here when he was, I think he said he was 13 or 14 years old.
On that census, it said 1884, whatever that amounts to. That's the year he said he came here. I mean, that's what the census said. Then he started working in the steel mills.
No, he was working in the mines, I guess.
Oh,
Coal
he did?
mining,
Okay.
before he went to steel mills. Then he went to Carnegie Steel Company.
When did he get to, how did he get to Lorraine? What,
I don't know.
why did your dad come to Lorraine? You were from Pennsylvania. Why
Yeah.
did you move to Lorraine?
I couldn't tell you that either. I don't know. They just came, I guess.
Did you have family here before your dad? Was he the first one of your Jones family to come here? Edwin lived in Pennsylvania, and then
I don't know. I imagine it was. I don't know.
now your dad was a blacksmith when he
Yeah.
was in Pennsylvania for
Yeah.
the steel. I wonder if he just
Yeah.
transferred or something.
No, I don't know why they came here. I couldn't tell you. Of course, I was only probably 4 years old, 4 years old when they came here.
And I thought they might have said something why they came here. All right, I wanted to ask you about the family name or your name. Are you named for someone? Is Clarence in the family?
No,
How about Violet's name?
no,
I'm laughing because it's a horrible name. Violet Lavinia or somebody?
Lavinia.
Lavinia.
No, there's no other name like that in the
You're
family.
right. And Roselle and all those names is something.
Well, Aunt Roselle was named after Aunt Roselle.
All right.
That's Pa's sister.
Okay. But the rest of the names your mother just liked. Violet and all that.
Yeah.
All right.
Dale was named after
Yeah,
Grandpa.
Edwin. All right. Morse was named after.
After Grandpa's original name, Morris.
Oh, James Morse.
James
Okay.
Morris.
Earl. Was Earl named after someone?
Not as I know of. Earl Raymond.
All right. About
That
go on.
was just names picked from the air.
She loved them. All right, your leg. What happened? How did you get your leg cut?
Road poisoning.
How did that happen?
I don't know.
And how old were you?
Oh, probably about 6 or 7.
And you didn't hurt it any way, or just
I couldn't tell you.
How about the Lorraine tornado? What were you doing when the Lorraine tornado came through?
Well, we just gonna sit down for supper. Father just got home from work. And we were gonna sit down for supper, and the storm came up. So I went out on the porch, Mom, went over town to a shortcake supper.
Were you married at this time?
No,
Okay.
over to shortcake supper.
What is a shortcake supper?
Strawberry shortcake.
Oh, go on.
So she left supper on the table, and that she said, when Pa got home, we should eat. So he got home, and we were just ready to sit down to eat, and this storm came up, and I knew she had flowers out on the front porch, so I went out to get the flowers, and just about that time it struck. And I never did find the flowers or anything.
Did it hit your house?
It took about 6 inches off the foundation, and the garage next door took the garage and left the car standing. And house back of us, it took the whole roof off. And it only went as far as 10th Street.
Hmm.
But we got some of it, but not the blunt was down around the lake and 4th and 5th Street.
Now, what street? Where were you living at this time?
At 11059 9th Street.
How can you remember these numbers? And it only went as far as
It only
10.
went as far as 10.
Oh, okay. What about Ma's house? What was she doing? Did she ever say?
Well, they were on the other side of the tracks. It didn't hit their house.
Oh, it didn't hit?
Uh-uh.
Okay,
She
so...
only went to 10th Street.
And she lived on 11th?
She
then?
lived on 17th.
Oh, 17th. Okay, I remember that street.
It didn't hit anything south of that.
All
It
right.
just circled around there and then went back out to the lake. Hiya.
Well, do you remember anything more about the tornado? Tell us about the tornado.
What do you want to tell? What do you want to know?
Oh, I don't
It was
know.
devasting, that's all. Everything was down. All Broadway was blocked with brick and cars and everything, and Lakeview Park was all blocked. There used to be a big ditch down through Lakeview Park, about, big drainage ditch. It was probably 6 or 8 foot deep,
Mm-hmm.
and that was all full of cars. Joe Glinsley run the bathhouse, and I saw him laying dead.
Mm.
He was killed. And there was only one car left on the bank, and that was a 1923 Ford. And they had a tire on the back. And the wind blew the tire off and blew it over one of them posts they had sitting there on top of the bank.
Uh-huh.
It blew the tire over that post and held the car there. That's the only thing that was left.
It was
All the rest
dangling.
was in the ditch and in the lake.
How long was Lorraine tore up? I mean, how long was it bad?
Oh, I don't know. It was months before they ever got straightened around.
Well, they brought the army in, didn't
Yeah.
they? They had militia.
They had the militia in.
Oh.
You wasn't allowed out of the house. You had to cook in the backyard. And they passed your house and they tell you to stay in the house and lock the doors. And
Was there any looting?
yeah, they had a bullpen over by the post office. And everybody they catch loot, they put in this bullpen. It was a great big pen with wire all around it.
Were you in it?
No, I wasn't in it.
Oh.
But we run around all night after the tornado hit. Right, you see guys laying here and there, and high school was all full, people killed. And
Did they use the high school as
Yeah,
a
as a
hospital?
morgue.
As a morgue?
Palace Theater blew all in. That was the most deaths at the Palace, or the State Theater.
State?
That was the most deaths because it was in the afternoon and they were there for the show.
Did you have any warning that it was coming or anything?
Nothing, whatsoever. It hit all at once. It just sounded like a train coming.
Did that come in off the lakes
Off
by
the lake.
by the docks down there?
It come in off the lake out by Lakeview Park.
Oh, came over Lakeview
In
Park.
Lakeview
then, huh?
Park, and went up as far as 10th Street and across Broadway and over to Colorado Avenue and went out in the lake again. Just made that circle
Mm-hmm.
and took everything in its path. There was water clear up the street from you couldn't even see the street of the curbs. Just torrents.
That's all you can remember right off?
Oh, I can remember lots. I could tell you, sit here all night and tell you.
I only got a half hour on that on that.
But
Hey.
there was a lot of things happening. I saw a tree with a 2x4 pushed right straight through it. And we looked out the window, and over at Higgins lived across the street, and there was a mattress come from Lakeview Park, and it was just like it was on a bed. Just as straight as could be, and it got over Higgins' house and turned around and went right back to Lakeview Park again. There was a lot of things to see. Cars turned over on West Erie Avenue, streetcar turned over.
Getting back to Ma's relations, this Paul Gettins, that was Pat Gettins, that was a policeman in Boston. What other family was of Grandpa's? Did Grandpa's brothers or sisters come over from Ireland, or don't you know?
I don't know. He only had one sister, as I know of, and she was in Columbus.
What's her name?
That was
I think I know it. I can't think of it myself.
they had,
Um,
Coburn,
yeah,
John Coburn.
Coburn. And he's the one who had a dancing. Someone
They
had a dancing bear.
fighting bear, and that was the only sister that I know of that Wilson had.
And then his brother was Pat, though.
Yeah,
Pat
but
Gettins.
he was a policeman in Baltimore or someplace.
Boston, I think.
Or
she said.
Boston.
Yeah. All right, which one owned the lumber company or the roofing place?
I don't know. There was one of them, but it went by Gettings.
Yeah, they didn't change their name.
Mm-mm. He changed his name.
Yeah.
He changed his name to Wilson and went Protestant, dropped out of the Catholic.
You never knew why he.
No, but they wouldn't have anything to do with him after that.
I'm gonna turn this off for now. Dale.
What was that guy doing with a dancing bear?
Oh, he traveled with the carnivals. He traveled all over, and she stayed home. And he was a big guy, a big tall guy. He must have been over 6 foot and maybe 225, 30 pounds. And he was traveling all over the carnivals all the time.
Now that was Grandpa Wilson's
Brother-in-law.
brother-in-law. Okay. Now they had some boys. Charles Coburn?
Charles
or
and John
Okay.
Coburn. I don't know. They were in Columbus. I don't know if they're still there yet. Now, one was driving a beer truck. I don't know what the other one
With a
did.
bear on it.
Called Pam's.
Yeah.
But I don't know whether they're still down there yet or not. Alma used to go down or Laura used to go down and see him, I guess. But I don't know where they're at now.
Dale said you worked for a brewery in Lorraine?
I didn't work for him. I just know where it was at. It was on 12th Street, just off of Long Avenue. It was POC, Pride of Cleveland.
Pride of Cleveland?
You talk about that guy who went there to get the cow feed.
Oh, and old Jacobs used to go down there to get the malt. And that was the byproduct after the beer, and they had it in the big bin. And he'd go down there with a horse and wagon and pick that malt up to feed his cows. And we used to ride there because it was hot. We just put our hands and feet down in it and keep warm. And then go down there and, and all the beer you drink was free. So he used to get socked up, and then the team of horses used to take him home.
Dale mentioned something about digging basements and you start a fire on the ground.
No, that was in the winter when the ground was froze. You'd have to thaw the top layer off in order to get down in to dig it. You used to run around and gather all the wood up you could find and then set fire on top of it and thaw the ground out. So you get down with a slip scraper and a plow and dig it out.
All right, who were you working for at this time?
Working for ourselves.
You worked for you with your dad now?
Yeah,
Did you farm also and
Yeah,
did this on the
yeah.
sideline?
yeah.
Did Earl and Mo, were they old enough to help you? Or
No,
They
no.
were just at home
They was
with,
only kids.
okay. And you mentioned working 2 years threshing?
Yeah, for Herb Burkhart, Sheffield Lake. I run the oil pull tractor.
Oil pool tractor?
Yeah.
What's that?
It was a big tractor that they called the oil pull.
Is that where they put that big belt on
Yeah,
it and
yeah.
it ran?
Yeah.
All right, what did you do? What was your schedule?
What do you mean schedule?
I mean, you said you were 2 years. Would you just travel from farm to
From
farm?
farm to farm, 2 seasons.
Did you get paid, or was this?
Yeah, you got paid, but it wasn't very much because you got your board and your meals free.
You
if
mean
you got any?
Well, you mean you stayed at the house?
Yeah, instead of slept in the barn.
Now
Slept in
you
the-
were single at this time.
Yeah, slept in the hay mow. And then you'd thrash at a certain place and they'd give you your dinner, where if you was there at dinner time, they'd have to furnish your dinner. If you're there at supper time, they furnish your dinner and supper. Just depending on how long you was there. Whatever you was there, they had to feed you.
Do you remember what they paid you, if they paid?
No, I don't remember what it was. No, it wasn't very much, I know. You only got home once a week.
Now, was that just in the Lorain County area, or did you go further?
No, that was around Lorain County and Sheffield Lake and Avon Lake and over and all that.
Now, how old were you when you did this about?
Probably in 17 or 18 around there.
Now, Dale said something you used to, when you got on a streetcar, no one would sit by you.
Yeah, because you never had a bath.
Tell us, while we're talking about the streetcar, what about the streetcar? Anything, it ran from where to where?
Well, there was a green line ran up from West Erie Avenue, up Reed Avenue to 21st, up 21st to Broadway, up Broadway, up to the junction, and from the junction into Elyria.
Was that one car?
That was one car, green line.
Okay.
And the yellow line run up from the loop on West Erie Avenue, up Broadway. It used to run up 21st Street to the mill fence and then up to 28th Street. And then they built the subway by the Thu.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then it ran up Broadway to 28th Street and down past the Thu to Grove Avenue and up 57. That's Route 57 now.
Mm-hmm.
Run from there up to Elyria. And that was all woods in there then.
The Route 57
57
was all woods?
woods. There was nothing there.
Somehow you flagged the trolley down.
Yeah, and we lived at Stop 7. When we lived out there, you used to have to light a match.
A match?
Match. When the streetcar come along there, you had to light a match so you could see you were standing there. So then he stopped the car and you get on. But
What did it cost, do you remember? Do you have tokens in?
no, yeah, and it was probably a nickel or a dime or something like that. And then they cost you so much for a transfer.
Okay. I can remember riding on something that went under a road on 28th Street. Did the streetcar go down
Oh,
there
that's
and
that
under?
bridge under the
Okay.
B&O Railroad.
I can remember riding on that, but I
I
have
can
no.
remember when they put that in there. Before they put that in there, it used to go out 21st Street to the mill fence, and then up along the mill fence to 28th Street,
Mhm.
and then out to Grove. And then they put that undercut there, and it went up Broadway then to 28th.
Yeah, I can remember that one, I think. I remember riding a streetcar, but I don't know where
And
it
that went into Lurie, but I say that was all woods clear through there. There was nothing in there then.
Hmm.
And then the green line went up to the junction, and you got to transfer there to Amherst. There used to be a line run to Amherst from the green line, owned by the green line.
So you could go to Lyria?
And
Amherst and Broadway and all that.
Yeah. And then on the yellow line, it used to be the Southwestern, and that ran from Cleveland to Toledo.
Now, that streetcar with the wire on the wires,
Yeah,
that kind of
yeah.
a streetcar?
Yeah.
Are those the tracks you see in Cleveland once in a
Yeah.
while?
The Saddle Inn, you know where the Saddle Inn
Yeah,
is in Avon?
yeah.
That used to be old streetcar barns.
Okay, yeah, I remember that now.
That was old streetcar barns.
Wasn't there something out in Avon Lake too?
Yeah, there was Avon Lake Park.
There
It was like Crystal Beach, and
No, wasn't there some barns out to Avon Lake where the theater is now? Isn't there something out there that someone told me, or that there was some barns out there in Avon? Would they
well, it was the car barns.
car barns? What are those?
Well, that's where they repaired the cars and took
Okay.
care of them and that. That's
right.
where the Saddle Inn is now.
Okay,
That used to be the old car barns.
the Saddle Inn still there?
Yeah,
No.
I guess it is. I don't know.
All right, go on.
But that's where the streetcar used to run from Cleveland to Toledo.
You mentioned Crystal Beach. Did you ever go to Crystal Beach a lot, or
Yeah.
dancing, or?
No, just a monkey around. And then they used to go to Avon Park. We used to
Okay.
have they used to have our Sunday school class there, picnic there. They used to go across 31st Street, and there used to be a big wooden bridge there, over the river. On 31st Street,
Okay.
where Garfield Bridge
Okay,
is now.
yeah, Garfield Bridge. Okay.
Well, that used to be, that wasn't there then. They had a big wooden bridge across there.
Oh my, that's a big span.
Yeah, it was all wood. And the streetcar used to get on there, and you could look down there, and boy, it was just room enough for the streetcar to go.
Mm.
And you could feel that thing shaking when the car was going over.
That's deep there. When you go over now and
Yeah.
look down, that's a
Well,
deep
that
gully.
was just a single track across there for the streetcar.
Now that Avon Park, is that French Creek? Is that
Well,
that
yeah,
park there?
No, that's a different. French
Okay.
Creek is a different one.
All right.
This was like Crystal Beach. It had rides and everything else in it.
At Avon Park?
Avon Park.
Huh.
And then they had to park it down by the Coast Guard station in Lorraine. That was Glenn's Beach.
Dick's father used to
Used
play,
to play
his
there, yeah.
he used to play orchestra there.
Yeah, that was Glenn's Beach there.
And there was something about, is there an owl club or something, or was that another club he played? It must have been another club he played at. How about the one out Lake Road? Past Crystal Beach, out towards Sandusky, there was something out there, another dance hall.
Oh, there was a lot
I
of them.
can't think of the name of it now.
There was Alberta Beach and there was Ruggles Beach.
Ruggles,
and,
that's what I was saying, Ruggles Beach.
you know, a lot of them dance halls along there.
All right, what is, getting back to your girlfriends, who was this punk girl you used to go with?
We went back to Pennsylvania for vacation at my grandmother's, and she lives across the street from Grandma. And I got acquainted with her.
Well, tell us where you dropped your mom off.
I dropped her off at Sharon, at Aunt Nell's. And then we went on to Pennsylvania to Grandma's house, and while I was there, I got acquainted with her, and I couldn't get rid of her. She was always over there. But that's all I know about her. When we came back, well, that was the last.
Tell us about the time your dad was trying to get that calf.
Cat?
That calf that you mentioned.
Oh, him and Ike was chasing the calf all over the...
Ike McMillan?
Yeah.
He was
They were
bare feet?
staying with us then.
Oh, were they? Okay, yeah,
And
you
this
mentioned
calf
that.
got out, and so they were chasing it all over, and they couldn't get it in. And so I says, "I'll drive it around the barn, Bill, and you catch it as it comes around the corner." So I drove the calf around the barn, and Pa was waiting on the corner with a 2x4. And when the calf stuck his head around, he smeared it. And all that the calf did was bawl and lay right down. That was the end of the calf.
Oh. Ike doesn't seem the kind that would be out in the farm. I mean, he would helping out
Well,
there.
Ike was all right.
Well, tell us about Ike when he used to leave work. You mentioned that last night when we were talking.
Oh, well, he got drunk quite a lot. And on payday, he'd come out of the mill with his pay, and he'd go to Joe Akers. That was the saloon, and he'd get drunk. And then he'd come out, and he'd throw all his money in the air at all the kids. Everybody knew when Ike was coming. When
Wind up.
payday, and they go find Ike because he threw all his money away.
Janet just mentioned here, when you went back and forth to visit Grandma and Grandpa in Pennsylvania, and that, how'd you go, by car,
Oh, yeah.
automobile?
Yeah, we went by an automobile and it took us 12 hours.
12 hours.
We went one time, Father had an old Hudson. It was 7-passenger Hudson. And it had 2 little seats in the back you sit on. And we're facing each other.
Mm-hmm.
And we went through Cleveland and out Route 422. It took us 12 hours to get to Pittsburgh. That's the time I took Ma to Sharon.
Okay. Did you eat on the way, or did you have to pack a
No,
lunch?
we packed a lunch.
You packed a lunch.
And then going up them hills, you used to have to get out with a brick. And go so far, and then stick a brick under the car to keep it from going back.
Oh.
But there was no convenience in that or anything. It was all dirt roads and.
What was your first car?
...1923 Ford Roadster, I think. And I used to come to Amherst, and the Sanitarium Hill used to have to back up there because the gas would run back from the tank and you wouldn't go up there. You used to have to back up there so the gas would run down into the engine. The gas tank was on the front end of the car.
Everybody was going in reverse up the hill?
Yeah, and you went up, the gas would run back from the engine. You couldn't get any gas. It was just gravity fed.
Uh-huh.
So you had a backup. But they filled that all in. That was real steep there at that time.
I can remember that when they filled that in. Violet and Milton lived on North Ridge up there, didn't they?
Yeah.
Didn't your dad live in that gray house?
Yeah.
All right.
Right there by Lynn's.
Yeah. Your dad and mother lived there?
My dad lived there after
mo-
my mother died.
Okay, and
my
he
mother died on 10th Street in Oberlin Avenue.
And your dad then moved out there
Yeah.
at one time. Now, did Violet and Milton live with them then?
Violet lived there before
She
they
got
were
married there,
married.
didn't she? Didn't she get married at home?
No, I think she got married when we lived on the ridge, wasn't it?
I can remember going to that house. I
Well,
thought,
they might have, I don't know, maybe it was.
but I remember there one time we went and your dad was going to kill pigs in the back. Did you have pigs back there?
Yeah.
And he went back and he got in, and I guess I can think of him like straddling one and stabbing it. I remember crying and coming up to the house, and I wouldn't go back down. But Violet and Milton lived there then, huh?
Yeah.
Old Grandpa Morse came to this country and paid passage, I guess, for the Woodingses.
Yeah,
How are the Woodingses related to Grandpa?
I don't know, some relative shirt-tail relation. I don't know how it was, no. But
I remember he said landing in Philadelphia.
he said he paid for them from coming over here, and they landed in Philadelphia. But I forget what relatives. There are relatives, but I don't know what. Joe and Jonathan and all, they're all relatives.
You never knew Grandpa Morse's father. Did he ever say his father's
No.
name?
I never knew who he was. He said he worked for Captain Lake.
L-A-K-E, Lake.
L-A-K-E, Groom and Gardener. And his mother was done a maid, housework and that.
He never said what part of London or England. All right.
But he said when he was home, they done all their cooking on Saturday, and all they done on Sunday was sit around and read the Bible. And his father would teach him, like being in Sunday school all day Sunday. That's all they did.
Didn't his father work as a undertaker
Yeah,
too?
they was in the undertaking business. But he said that's the reason he never had any use for Bible or religion after he got too much of it.
Now you're Edwin. Do you have any idea what part of Wales he came from? You just
I haven't the least idea.
because I talked to Aunt Mary and she couldn't remember.
No, I don't know. he was Welsh, and I guess she was English, I think, Grandma.
Yeah, I think she was. Yeah.
And he was Welsh.
Yeah, I think
They both came over, but they were different.
I think Aunt Mary said that they went to Schuylkill County in Pennsylvania, and I think that's where she met Edwin, because I have found him on a census that he lived in Schuylkill. Apparently they left there and must have gone up to Braddock up that way. But I haven't found, I'm still trying to check that out.
Well, tell about when you were smoking a cigar on Broadway.
Well, my dad never knew I smoked. I smoked on the side, and when I was away, I always smoked. And he never knew it. So we went over to the show one night, and we stand on 20th and Broadway outside of the show and talking, and I was smoking a cigar, and I happened to look up the street, and I see Pa coming down the street. And I thought, well, I just lit the cigar, and I thought, well, what the devil am I going to do with this? I hate to throw it away. So I held it back of me. And I thought, well, he won't stop. He'd keep on going. And he stopped, and he started to talk. And, of course, the smoke from the cigar kept coming over my shoulder. And he says to me, what's the matter? You want to fire? And I didn't know what to say. And he says, how long have you been smoking? And I said, well, not very long. And he said, well, what are you smoking? I said, cigar. And he said, well, that's all right. Don't ever let me catch you smoking cigarettes. And he went on down the street.
Did he smoke? Did your dad smoke? I
He
don't
smoked
remember.
a pipe.
A pipe.
But that was quite a set to.
Mm. All right.
I never thought about smoke coming off our...
And on fire. Was that the Dreamland you went to?
Yeah,
that was
Dreamland.
Okay. Yeah. Where did your dad meet Grandma Hughes?
Well, Mr. Hughes was Pa's helper
At the plant.
at the
steel
plant. And when he came over here from Wales, well, he got a job at the plant, and he was Pa was blacksmithing, and Albert was with his helper. He got a job helping blacksmith.
Did Albert come from Wales?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They were both
From Wales.
from Wales, and he was Pa's helper. Well, they were well acquainted. They used to come to our house, Mrs. Hughes and Albert, and they used to come out when Mom and Pa was living, and spend the day. And Sundays and that they'd come out there. So then he died, Albert died, and Ma died, and then they got together. But they were just old friends.
Okay. Now, didn't you and Ma and Mabel and John run around together?
Yeah, yeah.
How old were you then? Was that when you were first married?
No, that was after we were married. That was when you kids was...
Yeah, I can remember then, but did you run around with him when we were littler?
Sure, when we moved to Amherst.
That's when you met her?
Yeah. You was going to school and that then.
Well, did you meet her at Grange? Did you meet
We
them
met
at
at
Grange?
Grange, yeah.
Okay, I remember
We joined the Grange, and then they were there. But we all used to run. We used to go down along the creek there where the Pine Crest is there and all, and they had picnics.
Jen asked me the other day, and I said, remember we had a hayride
Yeah,
down there and a
yeah.
winter roast down there. Tell us about the man that carried the pigs up top of the barn.
Well, that was, we lived in South Lorraine. That was in 1913, I think it was. It was a flash flood in Black River, and Gerber lived down in the hollow, and he got a warning that the river was rising, so the river come up on them so quick that they didn't have time to hardly get anything out of it, and he carried the pig and all the young ones up in the haymow. And after the river went down and that, they didn't know how he ever got them up there. But they were all up in the haymow, and it was clear up to the top of the bank. Wagons are going down, chickens are going down on top of roof of chicken coops, and washed the boats.
What caused that flood?
I don't know what it was, just a flash flood. Washed the boats out into the lake. That's when they was building that Garfield Bridge. They just had the pillars up, and they washed all the pillars out and down into the lake.
When you were young, you'd mentioned once before that Broadway was just went out so far and it was dirt then, or you used to go out on a stone boat, or what? You told us something one time about Broadway, about it wasn't paved, it was brick.
No, it wasn't paved. And there used to be a ferry across the river there for the shipyard. You go down to 9th Street and you take the ferry across.
Oh, to the other side of the
On
river?
the other side of the river.
Was the shipyard there
The
then?
shipyard was there, but there was no bridge there.
Oh. How'd you get over the river down on Lake Road?
Well, that was,
They have a bridge?
they have a bridge there, but it wasn't like it is now.
Was
It
that
was,
the one that swung out?
yeah, it was swung around and that.
Now, there was no bridge at 21st Street,
No,
then, that high-level bridge.
No, nothing.
So you only had to go that
The
one
guys,
bridge?
yeah, only one bridge, and the guys worked at the shipyard. They got down to 9th Street and they had the ferry
To work? Across?
across the river to the shipyard
Oh.
instead of going way down to Westbury Avenue.
When did they put the bricks in on South Broadway?
Oh,
Was that during?
I don't know when that was. I forget. I couldn't say. But I helped pave Broadway. Donnelly. I worked for Donnelly. And it was only one side of Broadway paved. Down by 12th Street, 13th Street along there. It was all mud roads through there. And it was all swamp.
Swamps?
Swamps from Broadway to the river.
No.
And the dirt we took out of Broadway, paving it, we dumped in them swamps. Filled them in. There was nothing along there but cattails and a big swamp next to the river. Lake Road, there was nothing on Lake Road either. That was all
What was Lake Road?
dirt road.
Oh, was it?
Westbury Avenue.
Yeah.
Out to Waverly Court and all through there, I helped pave all that. That was all dirt roads. And Overland Avenue, every street was a dirt road. There were no paved streets.
Now, did you drive the horse and buggy when you're younger? You didn't have a car.
No, there was no cars. We had a horse and buggy. When we lived on Overland Avenue, I had a driving horse and a buggy. My dad traded the cow on it.
For a horse?
Yeah, for a horse and buggy.
And you said one time you had some dogs, collies.
Well, always had dogs. He always had dogs.
You said something about you had a dog and you told the dog to sit on that chair until you came back.
Oh, that was Bruce.
Bruce?
Yeah. It was a big collie. He'd stay there on the chair till you come back. When you come back, he was still on the chair.
Well, we'll discontinue this the
Ah,
next time we see you.
That's enough.
That-